Welcome to Veterans United, a program sponsored by the Firewatch, Northeast Florida's fight to end veteran suicide. I'm Nick Howland, Navy veteran, your host, and Executive Director of the Firewatch. In this program, you'll meet 2 or 3 veterans who will share their challenges and experiences since leaving active duty. You'll also meet a couple civilians who are doing great things for veterans here in Northeast Florida. In the meantime, you can help. There's a role for everybody. Visit thefirewatch.org and register as a watchstander. Learn to identify the risk signs of veterans in crisis. Learn to get veterans the help they need. Together, we can end veteran suicide here in Northeast Florida. Enjoy the program.
Hello, I'm Captain Bean, host of the 5-Minute Salute. It's a show sponsored by the Firewatch that highlights the men and women who have bravely served our great country. Each week, I chat with them about advice they have for other veterans and how they have transitioned back into civilian life and the support systems that help them through along the way. Through initiatives just like this, the Firewatch is aiming to reduce the number of veteran suicides each year. I thank each of you for your interest in joining the show and supporting this great cause. Together, we can make a difference.
The Firewatch is Northeast Florida's fight to end veteran suicide. Step off the sidelines with us. Become a watchstander today at thefirewatch.org. 30 seconds to enroll, 30 minutes to train, a lifetime of saving lives. Together, we will end veteran suicide.
From Studio 3 at Buzz TV, it's The Horse's Mouth with Tom McManus.
All right, welcome into another edition of The Horse's Mouth here on Buzz TV, of course, at Tommy Mac's place. Another veteran-themed edition brought to you by thefirewatch.org, a veteran suicide prevention program. You know I love the veterans as I come from a military family, and we've got a great panel for you here today. We got a little Navy, we got a little Army, and a little Air Force. Gentlemen, first and foremost, thank you for your service to our great country. Cheers.
Nice. Cheers.
And welcome to the show. It's great to be here. Wally Conway back once again. Wally, no Marines though, so you got no fights, I'm assuming, at the bar since the Marines are here.
I'm all good. We'll find us a Marine out in the alley.
Yeah, he might be out there, right? That's great. Well, that's a fantastic thing. Let's start with you, Larry. Talk about your military experience and how you transform or use that into your business life at Synovus Bank.
Sure. I'm Larry Salzo did 4 years active duty and transferred into the Air National Guard, where I currently serve to this day.
Yep.
On my 24th year. And
wow, that's great.
So I did medical logistics and active duty, Air Force. Came back here after 4 years, started going to school, and kind of used some of the terminology and some of the skills there to transform that more into the financial and business planning skill sets. And so that's what kind of led me into finance and becoming a business banker to this.
How about the transition? We're going to talk about transition as we, I know it's got to be tough. I know it was tough going from the NFL to the real world, which is nothing compared to seeing active duty and then coming back. But what about the transition, Larry? How'd you get through that?
Yeah, it was it was a little bit of a transition as well, because you had to kind of learn to convert the military acronyms into the civilian corporate life acronyms, and so knowing how to translate a lot of the things into a resume.
Right.
And but fortunately, only 4 years active duty, it wasn't too difficult. So I know sometimes it could be even a tougher challenge for those that spent their years full active 20 years and then trying to translate that into the civilian sector.
Carlos Ramirez is here with Vets Assisting Vets. I'm sure, thanks for your service as well in the Navy. Carlos, I'm sure you guys deal with a lot of that transition, right? It's got to be very challenging for veterans to get back into the real world, so to speak.
Absolutely. So, like you were saying, it's a different world. It's just You got to get used to, different people. Like you can't tell people what to do no more.
Right.
But it's just adaptability, and veterans, we adapt to whatever is thrown at us. So getting out of the military is just an easy transition. It's a transition nonetheless, but it's an easy transition.
Is it because of the training when you get it, when you're in the service? When you're in the is it because of that training that you're prepared for anything in life?
I think it has a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
From day one, you go to boot camp and you're not Carlos Ramirez. You're just a recruit,
right?
So everybody's the same. You start off on the same playing field, and that builds character. So, I did 20 years. I retired in 2009. So, transitioning was a little bit difficult just because I was institutionalized a little bit.
Yeah.
But it was awesome. I look for challenges, and transitioning was a challenge that I overcame. So,
Les Davis is here from Brickstone Pizza, owner of Brickstone Pizza. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Spent a lot of time with the Army. How about the transition for you? Let me ask you this. Did you get right into being an entrepreneur? Were you always an entrepreneur type, or how did that transition go for you?
No, my last 8 years in the Army, I was an Army recruiter. So,
okay.
The most hated guys, in the military. So rather than the civilian life. So I transitioned and I got hired by a college to recruit.
Okay.
And I stayed with that college for 13 years. And after that, I kind of opened my own little consulting company because at my last 7 years with that, we were totally concentrated on veterans and helping them transition into college. And that where you see this transition, the difficulty of transitioning of some vets have, whether it's 4 years or 20 years. I mean, there is some guys, they go right into it, they go right into careers, and other guys just they can't find themselves.
Right.
Because they've been part of this brotherhood or sisterhood or, whatever you prefer for such a long time. And so we noticed that. Then I transitioned out of that position and went into consulting. And then I always knew I wanted to, buy a bar restaurant. And we were looking, and Brickstone just popped up, and we looked at it for about 9 months and just fell in love with it.
Cool, that's great. That's great. We're going to have pizza next time you're here.
Absolutely.
I know that. Well, we talk transition a lot on this show, and I think. With football, it was so black and white. It was like you performed, you stayed on the team, and they paid you well. And you get hurt, you got to rehab. It's like, you either do well or you don't. Similar to the military, and similar with real estate, of course, in the field that you're in, right? It's all about performance, all about getting the inspections done, whether that's with your residential side or your commercial side.
Totally performance-based. But I got to flatter folks in Larry's situation, and that is those that continue to serve through the reserves.
Yeah.
For me and the others, and for you from football, one day it was over and you began your transition.
Yeah.
For the folks who continue to serve part-time, that is a tough switch to flip.
Right.
Tough switch to flip. To be able to sit and say, I'm now transitioning to my new career, and I'm still committed to my old career, and that evolves. Yep. And then when he's called to serve, that is a total disruption.
Yeah, he goes from banker to, hey, I'm back in full speed. How do you do that, Larry? How do you?
It's just something you just always have to prepare for. We back in the day we were called the Minutemen. Where within a moment's notice,
right.
That was before my day, just for the record.
Just by a little.
But we always have to assume that something can happen,
right.
and within a moment's notice. Whether it's we kind of a little bit more prepared during hurricane season, but we might have been called up for the inauguration or anything
right.
like that within.
Right.
Maybe
were you called up for
days.
that?
I wasn't. No, there was
okay.
maybe 21 from my unit up there at the 125th Fighter Wing. That was
right.
Was part of that. But yeah, our family plan,
right.
our everything has to be set and ready.
So you professionally you wear two different hats. You're in the corporate world with banking, and then you're in the National Guard world, right?
Yeah.
Right? and you guys all, whether you continue to serve or not, you still have that, right? I go back to my football hat, right? You know, my girls dance. I'm like, go kick some ass. And they're like, Dad, it's not football. I'm like, everything's football. What are you talking about? But you know what I'm saying? It's always there in your.
It's
in
intense.
Your
you know, we were talking about my daughter earlier. You know, and she's up at bat, and I'm just a mess behind the bat. I'm pacing, just like when you were wanting your squad or your company to perform.
Yep.
You know, you're just that intense. It comes back out of you. It's just like you're saying in football. In the military, it's the same thing. Or if you want success for your kids, or even when you're still in the reserves, you want your subordinates to perform just like that, and you get nervous for them.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah. How about you, Carlos? You feel the same?
Yeah, I totally agree. It's to the point now where, because I was in the police security aspect of the military.
Cool.
I was a force protection and stuff like that. So like we go to restaurants, we go out with my kids or whatever. My daughter or my son goes to sit down, and my wife says, "No, Daddy can't sit with his back to the front door.
That's
so you got to let him sit there."
That's right.
So it's just a level of awareness that just doesn't go away after you been overseas and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, we should all have that today, right? I like sitting with my front to the front.
And being 6'4" with a 60-inch chest.
Yeah.
Blast everybody else, right?
Yeah, you want everyone
way
to
you
see
want. I'll
it.
sit behind you.
That's funny.
That's very interesting. You say that as I think combat veterans. I don't know if you guys been in combat, but you as even on Friday and Saturday night for myself, I'm always scanning the crowd. It's almost like I'm scanning my sector again. And I have to catch myself because I get intense in that. I just and then I have to. Then one of the regular customers or customer want to come and talk, and I get back into my me, not old me, but me now.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Les, you said something great about your background that business owners need to know, and that is, if you've been a military recruiter, you can sell anything to anyone. That is an extraordinary background. Not only the intensity of the training that all the recruiters go through, but then the ability to have an 18 or 19-year-old with you, knee to knee, and then talking to their mom and sharing that, hey, this is a really good idea. Mom, he's going to be okay. Dad, you're going to be crowded. Kid, you're going to have some fun. Yep. That is sales. So that's an extraordinary background that sells a lot of pizza.
Oh, it does too. All right. And I tell you what, moms are protective.
Heck yeah.
And I remember sitting in a home one time, and the mom's pacing back and forth. Now the kid just wants to be a mechanic, right? That's a very we can get him that. Score well enough. And the mom's just intense. I'm not signing this parental consent because she's under 18. He's still. And finally, the dad is like, we can either wait 23 days or you can sign the paper today.
Yeah.
Finally, she just kind of sits down and takes a deep breath.
I can tell you something funny about moms.
Yeah.
1973, my mom and dad drive me down from New Jersey to Annapolis to go off to the Naval Academy. Within 4 hours of being there, they had us in our little uniforms and carrying an M1 rifle. I thought my mother was going to kill my father. You told me he'd be safe here. He's been here 4 hours and he's carrying a rifle.
That's funny. All right, let's wrap it up with this, because I often get the question, if I had a son, I have 3 daughters, would I let him play tackle football, right? With all the, concussions, all the concerns. Would you want your child to serve in the military? Larry, I'll start with you. How do you feel about that?
Sure. I mean, it's great character building.
Yep.
I think it prepares you for the future, prepares you on how to be a leader, and just, really just sets
concerned about going to conflict? I mean, you would obviously be concerned, but would that be a big factor in whether you say yes or no? Or not, whether you would encourage or not encourage, I guess is a better way.
Not really, because I, just have been part of the military. I mean, our military is very strong and very elite, and so I have every confidence in the world that our troops are always protected and safe and practice in a safe way.
Well, Les, how about you? What do you think?
Well, my boys are already in. My oldest son, he's awesome. in military intelligence. He's been in since he graduated high school. He has 2 tours in Afghanistan. Right now, he's doing a temporary duty in Hawaii, so he's kind of loving it. My other son has 1 tour in
the perks.
Yeah, my other son has. He had 1 tour in Iraq, and now he's back at Fort Bliss. Wow. And my daughter's graduating, and of course I'd love to see her, but she's going to medical. She's a career. So.
Oh, okay, nice.
So that's
what you think, Carlos?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think
that's great to hear.
Yeah, I joined when I was 18, so I grew up. Became a man. I wasn't a man until I joined the Navy. So
no doubt.
I definitely think it makes you independent, It makes you think for yourself, even though you're, for the first 2 or 3 years, you're getting bossed around by everybody.
Yeah.
But shows you how to be a leader and gives you the tools to be able to operate in the civilian sector. So
That's great.
Definitely.
That's great. Wally, you get last word, my man.
I would absolutely expose, and I have exposed. I have 4, all grown. All were exposed. All chose not to serve.
Okay.
And I respect that. It's like so many other things. You can't wish or push that on someone else.
Right.
You expose, you support, you encourage,
Yep.
and respect the decision.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I respect each and every one of you for what you've done, and I thank you so much for being here on the show. We're definitely going to do it again, all right?
Definitely.
Les is going to bring
Definitely.
pizza. We got beers. What else do we need? Maybe a TV to watch some football. So, all right, cheers, gentlemen. Thanks again for being on the show. That'll do it for us this time around. Got a clink. No one hit it too hard. Another veteran edition right here on the Horse's Mouth, brought to you by the Firewatch.org, a veteran suicide prevention program. Thanks for tuning in right here on Buzz TV from Tommy Max. Cheers.
I'm Nick Howland, Executive Director of the Firewatch, Northeast Florida's fight to end veteran suicide. Veterans at risk of homelessness are 5 times more likely to attempt suicide. This December 31st, the CDC will be lifting its restrictions on residential evictions. Thousands of struggling veterans could find themselves without a home. You can help. If you know a veteran at risk, direct him or her to thefirewatch.org, where we maintain a Veterans Resources Guide, everything from emergency financial assistance to transitional housing. Together, we will end veteran suicide. Hi, I'm Nick Howland, Executive Director of the Firewatch, Navy veteran, and host of the new program From the C-Suite to the C-Suite, where we will be interviewing Northeast Florida veterans and learning about their journey from the military to owning and running their own companies or joining very successful Northeast Florida companies. We would love to have you on the show. Please consider joining.
Hey family, welcome back to Buzzworthy Veterans. I'm your host, Ant Stroud. Today I have the honor of sitting next to Congressman John Rutherford with the 4th District here in Florida. Today we're going to be talking about the Veterans Armed for Success and what that means for our veterans. Congressman, thanks so much for being here today.
Great to be with you, Ant, and thank you for the invite.
Yes. So this bill, from my understanding, is going to help so many veterans out, me, myself being a veteran. I'm excited for this bill. So before I give anything away, I'd rather hear from the subject matter expert and the man who put this bill together, which is you. So thank you so much. Tell us about this bill.
Thank you. Well, listen, the great thing about this bill is I know it's going to work because it's already working.
Yeah.
It's working right here in Northeast Florida. Operation New Uniform. This bill is really about helping our military veterans transition from their military life back into society and being successful during that transmission. And so that's really what Veterans Armed for Success is all about. It's arming them with those tools that they need to be able to get out of the military and be successful in our community. And Operation New Uniform right here in Northeast Florida.
Yes, we love them.
This is where the bill came from. I was invited, Michelle McManaman invited me to a graduation of one of their cohorts, and it was very early on, and what I saw was amazing. And then a year or so later, when I heard their results that they were having, over 95%, I think, success rate in placing veterans coming out of the military into really successful jobs. That's something that I thought we need to replicate that all over the country. And here's the biggest problem that I saw with the program. There wasn't enough money for it. And so they could have, according to Michelle, I think they could have been working with like 3 times the number of people that they were actually able to work with because of their funding restrictions. And so in this bill, we create $10 million for over 5 years, $10 million per year, for communities that want to start up Operation New Uniform type operations to help their veterans transition out, and provide dollars for those like Operation New Uniform who's already running a program. Give them more money so they can do more with what they're doing.
So they have the capacity to meet the needs of our veterans, but the financing was where we were all slacking in that aspect. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes.
So you, being the great man you are, you're like, you know what? I got some power.
I'm here. Fix that.
Yeah, I can do something about that. You got the vision. I got some pockets that I might be able to tap into. So you drafted this bill. How was it received?
Very well. Look, Michelle and the whole group were just great advocates and partners in bringing this bill together and getting it to the floor. And we, just got it signed into law by President Trump.
Awesome. That is awesome. I know that bills don't always happen overnight. How long was that from start to finish?
I want to say it was about a 3-year process for this bill.
Wow, that is extraordinary, because a lot of times we get so excited when we see things. We see people doing such great things in the community, but to take it to 3 years, that is truly a vision you must feel super passionate about, and you must have seen something in Michelle that you were like, you know what, I believe in what you're doing, I believe in you, and I'm here to support you as best as I can.
Absolutely. And what I saw was the lives that they were changing. Those veterans that they were helping to get good paying jobs so that they could make that transition, take care of their families. It was really amazing work. And they were doing such a good job at it. They were just constrained by their fiscal abilities. And so we needed to fix that. And you
did.
And spread it out.
Yes, share the love, share the love.
Share the love, yeah.
Awesome. Well, I actually have a surprise for you out in the viewing world. We have Nick with the Firewatch sitting side by side with Michelle herself.
Thanks, Ant. I'm Nick Howland, Executive Director of the Firewatch, which of course is Northeast Florida's fight to end veteran suicide. And I'm joined by Michelle McManaman, who's the creator and founder and CEO of Operation New Uniform. Michelle, thanks for being with us.
Wow, thank you so much. I was listening to what Congressman Rutherford was saying, and I need tissues, because it's just 3 years now we've been working on this, and he's such an amazing man and has such a passion for our veterans and the community that just to hear him talk about the work he put into it, and it's just amazing that we're here finally at this point where we can actually grow because of the funding that's going to be available to us.
Absolutely, and with advocates like Congressman Rutherford, we now know more about the extent of the veteran suicide crisis. We're learning more every day. We know that over 6,000 veterans die by suicide each year. It's been that way since 2005. We know the rate is increasing by about 6% every year. We know that the highest rate is among those who are 18 through 34, those veterans, and that is also the rate at which people are transitioning out of active duty to civilian status most every day.
Right.
So we know that is a very vulnerable period, the transition period for veterans. So tell me how you see that challenge.
Well, we see the challenge, and we're trying to do everything we can to collaborate with organizations like Firewatch, like the USO, name a veteran service organization, and we want to partner with them because we're not the be-all to end-all. Yep. Right now, we're able to do things, and we're blessed to be able to help with the transitioning part to help them get these careers. And we do have incredible numbers, success numbers, to back up what we're doing. But there are other organizations that can help in other ways. And I think such a great impact that you just talked about is we have to be careful. These numbers should not be this high for veteran suicide. We have to make sure that people know that these veterans need our help. Now, we're not doing the handout, we're doing, what's that expression? We're giving them a hand up instead of a handout or whatever, but we're there to help them get these careers. We're not going to get it for them. We're not going to do anything other than get them to the table and help them be prepared and feel confident to get those successful careers.
You're not giving them fish, you're teaching them
to fish.
Teaching
them how to fish. That's right. God is good.
So the Veteran Arm
for Success.
For Success Act.
Yes.
I'm so sorry I screwed that up.
That's
the Veterans Arm for Success Act, which was written and sponsored by Congressman Rutherford and co-sponsored by Congressman Lawson, which is fantastic. It's a Northeast Florida initiative. Tell me how that's going to help you deliver those services to veterans?
You know, it's amazing what it can do to our program right now. We're able to have 5 classes a year, and the max capacity in each class is about 15. At one point, we had about 40 veterans per class waiting that couldn't get into our class. We'll be able to expand. We can just about double what we're doing right now. We're also able to expand our territory because we're doing virtual and live classes. So we're really excited. We've had a graduate in San Antonio, Texas. We've had a graduate in Washington State. Our next class, we have students coming from all over the country. So I am thrilled that we're going to be able to just have the funding to be able to pay our staff and really support our veterans.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Michelle, thanks for being with us. And Ant, sorry to have messed up the Veterans Armed for Success Act, but it is the Veterans Armed for Success Act signed by the President in January 2021. Back to you, Ant.
No problem, Nick. Thank you so much, Michelle. Congressman, I want to thank you so much for being here today in your office and stopping by. I know you have some great work back in DC ahead of you, but I also know that you remember us here in the community that you serve. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Ian. I appreciate that. And listen, if you don't mind, I'd like to add one thing because Nick mentioned something that is critically important, and that is that transition time is a very vulnerable time for these folks. We have the same situation for those who are coming out of our state corrections departments. When they transition from incarceration back into our community and they have severe mental health and addiction issues, we also got a bill signed into law by President Trump. At the same time, Veterans Armed for Success in that transition is families in crisis or crisis stabilization and reentry, so that now we're going to have a warm handoff of those who have mental health and you know, some of these folks are veterans as well.
Absolutely.
But you have that warm handoff between the Department of Corrections and the community services to help make these people more successful when they return. So Nick's right, that transition period is critical, and we're trying to address it for our veterans coming out of the military. We're also trying to address that for our incarcerated population coming back to the community. So
absolutely,
thank you for recognizing that.
Well, that's awesome, and this definitely sounds like a proactive bill, and for both those. And so I'm excited for that, and thank you so much for all you're doing for our community.
Thank you.
All right, family, that's going to do it for this episode of Buzzworthy Veteran. We want to thank Michelle with Operation New Uniform, Nick with Firewatch, and our very own Congressman, John Rutherford. I'm your host, Ant Stroud. And remember, always vets, always family. I'll see you next time.
Thanks again for joining us on another episode of Veterans United. The Firewatch is Northeast Florida's fight to end veteran suicide. There's a role for everybody. Join us as a watchstander. Visit thefirewatch.org and learn to identify the risk signs of veterans in crisis, how to ask veterans if they need help, and how to get veterans the help they need. Together, we will end veteran suicide. How to ask veterans if they need help, and how to get veterans the help. I screwed up again. Sorry.